Well, good morning and welcome to the 11:11 gathering. This is Frank in Williamsburg, Virginia. You've joined us as we continue our journey through the book, Faith Without Religion, The Kingdom Quest. We've actually reached a milestone today, entry number 100, which if you have a book, it's on page 207. If you don't have one, I recommend that you might want to get one because there's a lot of depth in some of these messages, and it's a good idea to be able to go back and reread it on your own time. If you're not a book person, there's a digital version available on Amazon that's virtually for free. And if all else fails, you can always rewind the video a couple of times and just make sure that you hear whatever message it is that's coming out for you today. I do want to point out that when these were originally written, we had the perception that maybe the messages were just for me. But then over time, as we shared them with people would say things like, wow, just what I needed to hear today. So there's a lot more depth in it. This particular entry is called Whose Camp Are You In? And I know that I got this at a time in my life when there was a lot of kind of vacillating here and there on different decisions and things that I was doing. So maybe it's important to you at this moment in time. Let's see what God said about that. One who seeks the counsel and approval of men will always find himself in a dry place. The path of the righteous can only be ordained by me, says God. Of course, there are many paths to choose from, but only one leads to righteousness and sanctification. You've let yourselves be blown around like a leaf in the wind. As you let one perceived source dwindle, you start to scurry about like a squirrel with no store for the winter, crying, "Is this my source? Maybe it's here, maybe it's this thing, or maybe it's that. Perhaps I should do several things at once, and then one of them is bound to turn out to be the source." Foolish man. Surely, if you've learned nothing else over these years, you would at least have a rock-solid understanding of the fact that I am your only source. All other things that manifest as a source or supply may meet your needs for a season, but they will then disappear as suddenly as they arrived, leaving you bewildered, disoriented, and confused, just as you have found yourself in recent times, says God. The enemy invites you to wear the crown of disobedience. It is usually cleverly disguised as some other type of crown that fits well and feels really good. It could be the crown of self-importance or independence or self-righteousness or superiority, and there are many others. Unbeknown to the wearer, these crowns have a more sinister power that is not immediately evident. They have the ability to dull the senses. Consequently, the wearer finds it more and more difficult to hear my voice or to see my face or to read my word. And they are gradually sucked into the abyss of wrong thinking and lies from which many sheep can never escape. It's time to make sure that your head is bare, says God. Cast off any false crowns and turn your attention fully to me in humility and love, and you will once again hear my voice without effort. Clarity will be restored to your thinking, and you can continue making progress on the right path. Wow. Well, there's a tremendous amount in there. And some of the warnings are pretty obvious. When you have any doubt in your mind, in your heart, if you have any doubt that what you are doing is from the Lord, it almost always is not. And that's why you have the doubt. When God's Spirit is alive inside you, he will give you unction, as they call it. In modern vernacular, he'll sound an alarm inside. It may be a feeling in the pit of your stomach, maybe just a sense of apprehension. But what's happening is God is using his Spirit to bring your attention to the fact that you are going down the wrong road. And all the wrong roads lead to the same place. They lead you away from the purpose that God has called you to follow. The only way to keep fully in touch with that purpose is on a daily basis to speak with God, to read his word, and to listen. Because through his word, as you're reading it, he'll speak to you. And in the quiet moments in between you asking him for advice, for guidance, or for something in particular, that's where you'll hear him. What he describes as the still small voice. Most of the time, if you've ever heard me reference the fact, and the Lord told me this, it's not like you hear this booming voice coming over the top of the mountain like in the religious movies. I can't speak for everybody. The way that the Lord speaks to me is I get a prominent thought in my mind that looks for my attention. Now, does the enemy do that? Sure. That's why the word tells us to take every thought captive and turn it over to Christ, to our Messiah, and let him interpret it for you. And let his Spirit guide you to only act on the thoughts that are coming from him. It's a constant battle, folks. It's never going to stop. It's going to be there all day, every day, the minute you open your eyes, and even after you've closed your eyes. Because you may have noticed sometimes, even while you're sleeping, the enemy will come against you. So you have to pray protection over you, over your family. Get used to reading Ephesians chapter 6 and learn about the full armor of God. You cannot operate in this wicked world that is descending in a death spiral towards destruction. You cannot operate in that world without the protection of the armor of God. He gives you all the tools in his word. So pick them up and use it. Well, guys, this is great. Let's carry on tomorrow. We'll see you back here again at 11:11, and we continue our journey through the book, Faith Without Religion. Have a blessed day.